Hey, what's going on, everybody? Ivan here from I'll Get My Tools. Just replacing my side entry door with this fancy Craftsman style one because my last one was hideous. So I'm gonna quickly take you through the process of taking the door off the hinges, how to prep the door for stain, and then how to finish it. So stay tuned so I can show you how to make this door to this. Alright, so this is the door that I have. It's a fiberglass custom Craftsman made door. It's very expensive, so you have to make sure that you got your steps in line. The first thing you're going to want to do is take this door off the hinges. Do not try to stain your door in the vertical position. Alright, again, don't be lazy. Take it off and I'll show you in a minute how to do that. If you start to stain your door in the vertical position, what happens to the stain? It can start to run. This is a textured door. It's got the grooves in it to give it that wood feel. So if I start laying my stain, it can run. It's not easy to control and you can mess up the door. Secondly, if you're staining with the door in the vertical, you're gonna get stain on your jamb. You're gonna get stain on your trim. You don't wanna do that. We're gonna take the door off. The other thing, which is one of my major pet peeves, is when people paint around the door hardware. You see these little circles, you see paint on the deadbolt, paint on the handle. Come on, people, take the time, take off all your door hardware so you can do nice strokes down and blend it nicely. All right, we're staining here, a little bit more different than paint. One of the things I always do when I stain doors is I always stain the backside of the door first, just because if I don't really like the color, or maybe I'm a little nervous because I'm staining a door and it doesn't come out exactly how I want, at least that backside is coming into the house so the world doesn't see it. Maybe if you really don't like the stain, you can always put maybe a Kills and then change the color for the inside, but the outside has to look mint because that's what the world sees. So basically kind of think of it as do the back first. That's kind of your practice session to get ready for the front side. So taking off the door is pretty straightforward. You got these three hinges, right? Two ways to do it. You can have a chisel like me. I have like an old job site chisel, what I call it. It's kind of the all-around chisel, not for fine finish work, not for actually chiseling wood neatly. Just I'm gonna just kind of fix things and beat things when I need it on a job site. As you can see, it's not even sharp anymore. But the problem with this is you can mar the beauty. If you don't really care, you don't have anything else, you can put your chisel right in there, couple of taps, and then work your way up and get that pin out. We're not gonna mar the beauty today. I like to use just like a 12D spike. Maybe you can use like a thin bolt, something like that. Some of these have a hole underneath, some do not. This one actually have a hole underneath. Simple procedure, put the nail under there, give it a couple of taps. Whoop. There's your pin. Do the top pin, the bottom pin, and then take out that middle pin. If you kind of go top, middle, then the bottom, the door might fall out. You might bend that bottom hinge. You don't want to do that. Like I said earlier, the first thing that has to come off is the door hardware. Do not leave the hardware on and paint or stain your door, ever. Another very important consideration is where you're going to actually stain the door. Well-ventilated area, obviously number one. The second thing is you cannot be disturbed. If you have dogs, cats, pets, crazy kids that run around, you don't want them anywhere near this area. They can spill the stain, knock things, scratch things, bring dust, dirt. You don't want any of that. All right, so try to find a room if you can where you can stain the door in peace and tranquility. Now, drop cloths. You see this? This drop cloth is friggin' probably 25 years old. All kinds of paints on there. It's very important to use a drop cloth, not a plastic or a tarp. Plastics and tarp, the paints and stains just sit on them. What does that mean? They don't really dry. So you can step on it and track it all over your house. You don't want that. Drop cloths actually absorb a lot of the stain and the paints. So hopefully and more than likely, it'll absorb into the drop cloth itself and you won't step in it and track it all over the house. Staining a door is finish work. You've spent a lot of money on that door. You want to make sure that when you're working on it, you're not scratching it. Horses have all kinds of sharp points, jagged edges, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you get a nice thick towel and cover up your horses so when the door is sitting on it, it's not marring the beauty. Obviously, it's very important to clean your door before you stain or paint it. Depending on the time between you're installing it and actually staining it, everybody's grabbing it, touching it, all the oils and greases on their hands. The stain won't take to the door best of its ability if there's grease, dirt, and other stuff. So what most people recommend is to get a solution of water and vinegar, 10% vinegar, 90% water. That's just enough to break down those oils and get them off your door. Also, the most important thing is to buy rags that are lint-free. See that? Lint-free. You don't want any little cotton balls or dust balls or little things of whatever this is made out of spread throughout the door as you're cleaning it. Lint-free. Alright, so I got a fiberglass door here. It's got the grooves to give it that wood look. So I'll just tell you what I'm using briefly for this particular project. Stain. This is just a regular Home Depot stain from Fiberglass. This is the Colonial Maple. I've used it on other projects and actually my front door, so I have to match the color. This will be my after finish. This is Hellsman Spar Urethane. Spar Urethane is great for exterior doors. Get yourself a nice paintbrush. Very important, don't be cheap. I like Purdy. This one's for oil-based paints and stains. And also it's a 2-inch and flat bottom, not the angled one, all right? And lastly, as I spoke on before, lint-free rags. After you spread your stain, you're gonna use these rags to pull it, blend it, and give it the look that you want. I got a 30-pack. Believe it or not, you can go through some rags pretty quickly on this thing. So just a couple of things to note. Any of your stains or your finishes, your polys, lacquers, any of that stuff, never shake the can. You're gonna create bubbles, but you definitely want the compounds and all that good stuff that's at the bottom to be mixed in thoroughly. Just get yourself a little wood stick or an old wood pencil, something. Do a good job stirring it, but again, never shake it. As you can see, I put blue tape around the glass. Very important, you don't want any stain on that glass. It could actually stain the glass or etch it, problems you don't want. And just my thought process, I usually stain the indentions first, these pieces here, so I can get those done, and anything that overlaps, I'll be able to cover that up after. Now, there's really no science into stain, the penetration to the material that you have, whether it's just regular wood, the types of wood, your maples, your oaks, your pines. This is actually fiberglass. Everything's different, so I can't tell you how long to let your stain sit. When I did my front door, I literally painted it on and I took it off right after, so it will give me a lighter color of this Colonial Maple, and it worked out really well. So you need to test it on another piece of wood that's similar if you're doing wood, or even fiberglass, and try to get your color locked in. But the problem with fiberglass is it's basically a man-made material. Just a little tidbit, if you will, never put your can on your door while you're working, because as you're dipping, you can leave little circle dots of paint. That's gonna ruin the finish. So always keep your can either in your hand or off the door. Okay, so I let the door dry for about 24 hours. Obviously my plan changed. I did my original front door about 5 or 6 years ago. I wanted to match the exact color. I forgot how I did that front door, and I realized that I didn't even have to use the rags to rub off the stain because I liked it actually this rich orangey brown color. So as I spoke on earlier, when you lay the stain, depending on what color you wanted, you could let it sit for a certain amount of time and then rub it off as needed. Again, good thing for me, I didn't even have to play the rag game. So it worked out in my favor. So over 24 hours, this thing's set. Stain came out really, really nice. Looks sexy. Now we need a covering. People are gonna ask, why do you gotta put polyurethane over fiberglass door? It's fiberglass, it ain't gonna rot. Yes, Captain Obvious, I understand it's not gonna rot. The polyurethane is a spar urethane actually. It does two things. The stain that you did lay here, you want to protect it against superficial scratches, and you want to protect it from the elements, the weather, wind, sun, all that kind of stuff that can over time change the color of the stain, which you would actually might want, but I don't want that. Secondly, this thing is UV protecting, so it should help to maintain the color of the door a lot longer than if I didn't use it. And then lastly, this stuff does dry pretty hard if you put 2 coats on it. So a lot of the superficial scratches, like, you know, your fingernails or maybe your keys when you're trying to open up the door, this should help protect some of those superficial scratches from affecting the appearance and the image of your door. And you have to remember, being a fiberglass door, the stain doesn't really penetrate. It kind of just sits on top of the fiberglass. So it's definitely a good idea to get some type of exterior polyurethane, in this case spar urethane, to protect the whole door and let the finish and the door hopefully last longer. Alright, same thing with the stain. I got a purdy brush. It's purdy. Soft bristle for oil base, paints, and stains. Alright, and again, same as the last one, flat. Alright, let's get to it. I hope this video was informative and straightforward with the step-by-step process to achieve what I've just achieved here. The door looks beautiful and it's a perfect match to my front door as well. So if you like the value that this video provided, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.